I've been a parish councillor for 2.5 years now, and I suppose I initially joined the parish council because I simply wanted to make a change within my own area, and I think the more you do so and the more you involve yourself with politics at any level, you realise that each branch of government is interconnected, and actually often to make the changes that you want to see, you have to look to the district council, look to the county council, the competences they have. Um, for example, a huge issue in this area is housing stock, and fundamentally, as a parish councillor, I may have someone come to me and raise that as an issue, but it's only sort of through standing for the district council, through trying to support and continue what Labour have been doing, that I can actually make sure that they get the provision and needs that they both deserve. I think firstly, one of the things that I can bring to the council is, to an extent, that youth perspective, the younger voice. It's not so much being young for youth's sake. It's more just always a variety and diversity of opinion. Actually, it's looking at things differently. I think with age there certainly comes a wisdom, and I'm aware of that. But I also think in youth there's a wisdom that comes from looking into the future, and I think that's something that I'd hope to bring towards the council. And then also, growing up in the area, I live in Woodchester now, obviously the parish councillor for Amberley. Um, I think there is a perspective to be gained in that locality, where the nuances and the subtleties of your area, and what's actually the most significant changes that can be brought to them. Not quick fixes, but how can you help to sort of grow your community, invest in its future, and that's really what I'd like to see. And as you say, a local perspective, by a local resident living in the area, is absolutely fundamental to that, I think. My fundamental and overarching priority will always be the environment and climate change and the issues that sort of stem from that. But I think one fundamental thing that could really benefit Amberley particularly is the return of its lost bus service. I know we've been very, very grateful, whenever I speak to local residents, having Steve Robinson as our county councillor, who will hopefully have again in May, but working with him to try and return that lost bus service, make sure that Amberley is no longer sort of a transport desert. We have an awful lot of elderly residents within Amberley, and there may come a time where they can no longer drive to where they would like to. So there's a few community projects sort of springing up. The Shop on the Common project, cooperative shop. Now that's a good way to give services and provision to elderly people. But for me, I think that a bus service is absolutely core. You might be able to walk into Nailsworth, but can you get back up the hill afterwards? You might want to go to Cirencester for the day, but you don't want to have to ask a friend for a lift. And I think a core bus service running at regular times is absolutely essential for a rural community like Amberley. And thankfully, we're lucky enough to have that provision in Woodchester, but for Amberley, it would be absolutely essential, I think. In standing for election, you're standing to represent local people's views and opinions. And I think you always have to remember that about your representative, not a delegate. But I think there is an extent to which in local politics, you have that connection that is lost in elsewhere in politics. You know the faces that you see in the village shop or walking the dog. You can speak to people and hear their thoughts and opinions. And I suppose ultimately my aim in standing for election is to listen to those thoughts and opinions and make sure that they're actually heard within local government, both on the district council and in the higher tiers, which I'll no doubt interact with if I'm lucky enough to be elected in May.